When the Mirage opened in 1989, it changed Las Vegas forever, paving the way for the Mega Resort and every family-friendly Vegas attraction that followed. An icon on the Strip with its volcano erupting outside daily. Las Vegas, though, is always changing, and in 2024, one of the most famous hotel casinos in the world closed forever to become something else. And with that change, nearly everything that made it a success was torn down. While the resort is no more, its impact would be forever.
The $620 million Mega Resort is the first built in Las Vegas in 15 years. It commands attention.
One of the best I've ever seen in Las Vegas.
Now we can have anxiety attacks whether it's going to make any money. We haven't got through that yet.
A little over 2 months, Las Vegas will lose another legendary resort.
Guests are making their last memories at the first true Las Vegas Mega Resort.
Casino owner Steve Wynn is out as chairman and CEO of the Wynn Resorts.
Las Vegas has changed, Ellen. It's the #1 family destination in America.
The idea of building a world, Walt Disney loved it. Any resort developer loves the idea of building a place that is a complete environment unto itself. And you get to be in it as sort of the central character.
To understand the history of how the Mirage Resort came to be, you really have to understand the history of its controversial creator, Steve Wynn. The lead up to the creation of more than just a hotel, but an entertainment destination, the Mirage, reveals exactly how the idea came to be, bringing together everything that had come for Steve Wynn before into one of the biggest success stories of Vegas that would change the city forever. When looking back to his first visit to Las Vegas with his father, Steve Wynn said that there was magic in Las Vegas. It was like stepping back into the frontier. Casino owners were king. They owned the town. They were glamorous. They had beautiful women and lots of money. That would be exactly what he wanted. Wynn's father had operated bingo halls, often skirting around the law, and was a big gambler. Steve had seen his father lose it all many times and had learned that if he wanted to make money in a casino, the answer was to own one. In 1967, after his father's passing, Steve Wynn moved to Vegas, working at the Vegas Frontier that had hidden mafia ownership. While Wynn would never be directly related with the mob, he was always in the same places as them. It would be another man, Edward Parry Thomas, the man considered the power and money behind Las Vegas, that would really give Wynn's push into him eventually becoming called the King of Las Vegas.
I can't imagine my life without him. So much of my career has been tied up in the things that Perry made possible.
Thomas was in charge of the only bank that would lend money to the casino industry. For nearly every important turn on Steve Wynn's rise to the top of Las Vegas, his friend Thomas was there to help with large loans and advice. Together, they convinced Howard Hughes to sell a portion of land next to Caesars. Steve Wynn turned around and sold that lot to Caesars for a $700,000 profit.
I made a drawing of a casino next door to Caesars. They said, "You'll never get approved. We'll stop you at the planning board." I said, "We'll see." The vote was 7-0, and they bought the land.
The young former bingo operator now had money, as well as big plans for the future.
I'm Stephen Wynn, and I run this magical place.
Using the money, Steve Wynn had purchased a large interest in the Golden Nugget Las Vegas, one of the oldest operating casinos in the city. He had found out that employees were stealing from the casino and threatened to sue Golden Nugget president Buck Blaine for gross inefficiency unless he relinquished control of the company. From there, Steve Wynn became fully in charge of the Golden Nugget. He added a hotel to the casino, and its profits had risen considerably since he had taken over. Now, it was time to branch out. In 1976, a vote passed to legalize casino gambling in Atlantic City. Within the next few years, multiple casinos opened in the city, and it would be there in 1980. Steve Wynn would use high-yield bonds, something that was fairly unheard of, to fund the creation of the Golden Nugget Atlantic City, the sixth casino in Atlantic City.
Call me Blue Eyes.
And do not forget the great entertainment.
Don't you forget my towels. What does he do here anyway?
Golden Nugget Atlantic City. Only the best.
High yield or junk bonds came with a great risk, so often had a large interest rate. Yet with the help of the junk bond king, Michael Milken, who had been helping companies finance things with junk bonds for various projects for some time, they went ahead with the risk. Milken would later be arrested and spend time in jail for securities fraud and insider trading. He was pardoned in 2020 by Donald Trump, another of the big casino owners in Atlantic City and a rival of Steve Wynn. Trump and Wynn would often be suing and at each other's throats, competing, until Wynn donated millions of dollars to his presidential campaigns. Steve Wynn and Michael Milken's gamble paid off, and his new casino, the second smallest casino in the city, became the top earner. It was more popular than the other bland casinos in the area, as it had a unique look, making it stand out. Crystal chandeliers, mirrored ceilings, turn-of-the-century beat scenes on the walls. Steve Wynn said he wanted to create a fantasy world, an adult Disneyland, for those coming to gamble in Atlantic City, and it had worked. From the start, Wynn's company had a troubled relationship with the local Atlantic City government. Due to the difficulties and tough licensing procedures required in New Jersey, Wynn would be skeptical of the future of Atlantic City gambling and decide against making his third casino at the location. At one point, Steve Wynn compared the Golden Nugget Inc. to a pregnant mother, ready to expand, yet was unsure whether that new baby would be born in Las Vegas, the Bahamas, London, or Atlantic City, but the company was expecting. For his next big project, he would choose Las Vegas. Or, I guess you could say the next baby would be born there? I don't know. I don't like it either way. He would later explain how the Mirage was feminine, but I'm not going to go into that. In February 1981, Golden Nugget Inc. announced plans to build a $300 million casino hotel on the Las Vegas Strip. The 3,300-room hotel, set to feature a 22-acre man-made lake on the Strip, would be called Victoria Bay, and set to be the largest hotel in the world.
The ideal layout in a casino would be one that, because of the aisle space and the location of all the different elements, including bars and restaurants and games, would cause a typical person to want to walk over every inch.
He said that the difficulties and experience in Atlantic City would make this a better experience from the start. Wynn said that the safest investment in Las Vegas is the biggest. When anybody does anything big in Las Vegas, it has to be done well. And this one was going to be huge. It was set to have people movers within to transport gamblers in the 45-acre resort complex of atriums, pools, marble lobbies that was stretched from the Las Vegas Strip east to Paradise Road. He also said that he did not anticipate any problems with financing, and said he would do it the same way he did it in Atlantic City. By the end of 1981, Victoria Bay Casino was cancelled. The financial officers did not like the numbers, and $420 million was seen as a little too expensive for the company.
Las Vegas wasn't the place where you really got lit up on vacation. And so I thought, boy, why not bring the ideas that I'm seeing and the feelings and the dynamics of other places to bear?
Steve Wynn was often quoted talking about the image of Las Vegas, its relationship with gambling and sex, and how he wanted to create a better image for his resorts, making his resorts as far as possible from the sleazy image of the Las Vegas of the past, and that it was his job to manipulate that image to make that happen. He said no slot machines would ever be found in his lobbies. He didn't think having dancers in his hotels made the joint any more exciting or better. He believed some aspects of Las Vegas' image were best left out there. He said, "It's a fact that guys who come to casinos like girls, but we don't have to worry about that, especially when the guys have money. People with money can find ladies for themselves." He wanted a place that would foster the image that we will do anything to make you happy, but it was important to maintain that special kind of distance that a great butler does. Don't get too close. The backdrop for overindulgence sometimes, but we never engage in it ourselves. Steve Wynn would continue to believe that Atlantic City was too regulated to succeed in, and in 1987 would sell the Golden Nugget Atlantic City to Bally Manufacturing for $440 million, and set his sights back on Vegas, taking everything that he had learned over the last decade into a new idea.
This is a totally integrated, balanced resort. It's a wonderful place to go. It also has a casino.
The rumor was that they would use that money on a mega hotel in Vegas with a British colonial theme. The land was purchased on the Strip for a super resort to rival Caesar's Palace, dubbed the Bombay Casino and Hotel. It was again set to feature luscious landscape pools, tropical gardens, and be unlike anything ever built in Vegas. By the 80s, Steve Wynn had become somewhat of a celebrity in Vegas, appearing in commercials himself with Frank Sinatra and many more famous celebrities for his Golden Nugget Hotel. He was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa and was slowly losing his vision, something that people said had made him even more driven, and he would never stop until he got his goal. During the 80s, he even made bids to purchase Hilton and MCA. Steve Wynn's idol was said to be Walt Disney, and he kept a letter signed by him in his office. He wanted each time to create a place that people would come and love, full of life, entertainment, and more, a place where he could be the center of it. An entertainment paradise that would break the ordinary course of disciplined daily life for many with a fantasy gambling world. A place that gave you a shot in the arm when you entered it. Steve Wynn had learned how to get money to finance his fantasy world, how to make himself the center of it, and how to make the place successful. It was time to bring all those things together with his next creation. In May 1987, plans for a $500 million casino hotel in the heart of the Las Vegas Strip was officially announced, along with the announcement they had signed entertainers Siegfried and Roy on a 5-year, $58 million contract for the new resort, calling it the largest entertainment resort in history. Built on 86 acres of land, the 3,300-room hotel will be the largest in the world, and construction was set to start in August, opening 2 summers from then. At the unveiling, Wynn praised the partnership between private individuals and the government, unlike what happened in New Jersey, which showed what happens when a government does not help with regulations. The name for the new resort had not yet been chosen, but the idea had evolved from the Bombay Club. For now, they were just going to call it the Golden Nugget, sharing the name with a downtown hotel. These early plans for the resort had grown larger than ever, and the British theme dropped. The hotel would be a Y-shaped hotel that would later become the staple. This design meant that nobody had to walk too far from the elevator once reaching their floor. A 31-story tower that would have a tropical setting, making the Vegas Strip even more spectacular. The land to build it was purchased from Howard Hughes Corporation for $50 million in cash, and the Castaways Hotel on the property was set to be torn down. He stated that the $500 million investment reflected his company's faith in Las Vegas, and that you don't spend $500 million on anything if you are not sure, except for a few nuclear power plants, or Epcot maybe.
Suppose that what you see with your eyes is not what your brain tells you should be there. We're in the harsh southern Nevada desert. Suppose you saw Polynesia, South Pacific. Wouldn't that make people say, could the inside of this place be as cool as the outside? And that would provoke them to go in, and that's how the Volcano and the Mirage notion came.
Thinking of his island resort as an oasis in the middle of the desert, he was drawn to a name, the Mirage. The name The Mirage would not be chosen until over a year after the project was announced. Steve Wynn liked the name so much that he paid $500,000 to use it. He believed it fit the South Pacific theme and had to pay 2 motels in Vegas the money to change their name, so there would be no confusion on which the Mirage was.
The pool. Fantasy becomes reality when the Mirage appears on the Las Vegas Strip.
Can I have a towel, Steve?
Construction on the mega resort began in November 1987. The project was seen as a big risk, financed with junk bonds, as Wynn had learned working in Atlantic City. It was said, to pay it off, they would need to bring in over $1 million of revenue a day. On opening in November 1989, a 60-foot volcano would erupt every 5 minutes. Lagoons stretched out over 4 acres. Sharks and stingrays would greet those checking in the 20,000-gallon tank, and everyone who came to the Mirage was dazzled. It was called an exaggeration, even by Vegas standards. A $630 million tropical fantasy that was a huge risk in the current market. The Mirage was designed by Joel Bergman, who had worked for Wynn since 1978 with the renovations of the Golden Nugget, along with a very close team of talented people, with Wynn helping the ideas and boosting the creativity. It was done over a 4-year period bit by bit, evolving over time to what it finally became. The centerpiece was said to be the 17,000 square foot atrium. To research, Wynn had visited Disney World, Disneyland, Opryland, and the Florida Botanical Gardens to get ideas. The water features alone were set to cost $30 million. Originally set to open on December 26th, it was moved a month earlier when Wynn secured the rights to a boxing match, and the resort opened in November 1989. The fight brought in $40 million of revenue in just 2 days, and he was now officially in league with the other resorts of one of the hosts of boxing in the city.
There's something electrifying about a good fight. First of all, everybody from every corner of society, from every economic strata, comes. You know, fights are the most democratic of all attractions. There isn't anything you could have that would invite a greater cross-section of people to come experience the new Mirage.
Like Disney, the employees were deemed to be the key, and would have name badges with their name and where they came from to spark conversations with guests. Training for the employees was given much more priority than other casinos had ever been. Steve Wynn often gave his employees stocks to make them feel like an owner of the resort and take greater pride in it. He was still extremely harsh on appearance and work ethic for those that worked for him. However, there are many stories of people loving their time in his employment. The Mirage instantly became an icon on the Strip. Everything about the resort was designed to enhance the customer's experience, rather than just filling it with as many gambling machines as possible. They believed that if a customer was happy, relaxed, and enjoying themselves, they would spend more anyway.
Well, there you have it. An overview and an insider's view of the exciting and magical world of the Mirage. If there's anything that my staff or I can do to make your stay more enjoyable, just let us know. After all, that's what we're here for.
3 towers in a Y shape with white facades and gold windows using a foil of what was reported as real gold, beamed as the newest must-visit location on the Strip. Nothing had been seen like it before. Originally, they wanted to build it right up against the road, but instead they would push the resort back so that it could be appreciated more, and in that space in the front, it would feature one of the most visible and perhaps iconic additions to the mega resort. Something that was questioned when opening: why is this here? Why was a 54-foot volcano surrounded by water on the Strip that would shoot gas-fired flames 40 feet into the air?
Try not to be distracted by the hotel on the right. It is a futile request as Las Vegas' only active volcano begins to erupt.
Well, originally the volcano was just to be a waterfall and lake out the front of the resort. It was thought that this would be enough to entice people in. It wouldn't be until just a year from opening that the idea began to evolve. David Hersey, the Tony Award-winning Broadway light designer, who was hired to light the hotel's exterior, had an idea and took it to Wynn. They built a quarter-scale model, more than 10 feet high, on the south end of the property as a test. It taught them that this new idea would be an invitation to the hotel that nobody could ignore. The original scale test model remained at the resort with statues next to it, and it became a photo spot that many would take pictures in front of. The volcano was described as a free show every half an hour from dusk till 1 a.m. Wynn didn't like the gas smell it gave off, so they pumped a pina colada scent around the area. The scent, throughout the whole resort, would become iconic by itself. The volcano was designed and built for one reason. The answer to that question, why, was that anyone who saw it would be wowed. And if this was outside the resort for free, then how cool must the inside be? And it drew people in. It often worked, and as testing began on the volcano before opening, people were lining the streets to see it erupt. The Mirage was now open and added a new dimension to the gambling city. Vegas would become more than just slot machines and casinos. It would become an entertainment paradise for people of all ages. Well, at least that was the idea. On the opening weekend, children had been banned from the premises. There were so many people in the resort that kids were getting knocked down and pushed out the way, and they had no way of keeping kids from the casino, so they banned anyone under 21 at the resort. At the time, it remained to be seen if Mirage would return to its family orientation. Many teens had come to see the white tigers and witness the volcano.
Separated from the frenzy of traffic and noise on the never-silent strip by only a narrow ribbon of sidewalk, 30 stories of white and gold towers rise above a tranquil Polynesian setting. The city that will be the ultimate resort of the 21st century is grand and ever-growing. The Mirage, a 3,000-room hotel with construction costs of well over $600 million, is a leader in a new epoch of competitive growth.
Within the resort itself, room rates went from $89 to $159 a night, which was seen as much higher than the average in Vegas for the time, though considered cheap for that kind of room compared to other cities. Each room featured tropical butterfly prints, gold plate, and red, blue, and green colors throughout. The hotel also includes 6 private villas with private pools, and the top 5 floors of the resort had 260 penthouse suites, some of the most lavish in the city. The front desk as you arrived featured a $1.2 million, 55-foot long, 20,000-gallon tropical fish tank that at times you could even see people dive in within. It was designed to get guests' attention as they were waiting in line to check in and make the lines feel shorter. The saltwater tank was home to 450 fish from 85 different species. The atrium area used a mix of real and fake trees and plants to give a fantasy feel to every single person who came into the resort, and was built to set the tone of the journey ahead. Like most of the Mirage, it was a mix of previous Wynn experiences brought together, and the atrium was once an idea for a formerly cancelled project in Atlantic City. The casino itself was set to resemble an open-air Polynesian village, with separate roofs isolating different gambling areas, with 2,300 slot machines and 115 table games. It will be the first resort to use security cameras full-time at the table games. Gamblers on the slots have won a jackpot of $4.6 million and $1.1 million within hours of the hotel opening, something that was heavily promoted to bring people in to try their luck. On opening, the ballrooms at the back of the resort were not yet finished, but soon followed. A replica of a European street led to the French and Italian restaurants. Many of the restaurant crew had come over from the Golden Nugget downtown. All restaurants within the hotel shared a central kitchen, which was used to cut down on costs and make every single aspect of the resort more efficient. Over the years, the restaurants have seen many changes to different eateries, and even the addition of nightclubs.
And there's the tigers and the dolphins at the Mirage. There's Siegfried and Roy. No topless, no nudie, none of that old 60s cockamamie. Family kind of show.
With boxing a big draw during the early years, the live entertainment was also special. The show, which was announced before the resort had a name, Siegfried and Roy, began performing in 1990 and became one of the resort's biggest successes in the early years. The show was estimated to cost $25 million to design and had a cast of 70. A ticket cost $60, and it became a staple of the resort. These tickets in the early years could only be purchased at the resort, an idea that was made so people had to come at least twice within the walls, and likely would again spend more. A white tiger exhibit was built within the resort to display the duo's tigers when not performing for free. Many famous singers and entertainers also would perform in this theatre. The pools at the properties would not open until March 1990. The sprawling pool area was one of the most sought-after amenities at a Vegas resort for decades. It also included something that you would not expect. One aspect that Steve Wynn personally sought after was to include a dolphin habitat. Wynn was said to always have been fascinated with dolphins. When visiting a house bar in California, he and his wife went to SeaWorld in San Diego and saw the dolphins. Soon after, his wife saw him out in the backyard measuring to see if he could put a dolphin pool in the garden. He was persuaded not to, but he insisted that one day he would build a tank to do it. The resort was home to 5 bottlenose dolphins and a 4-pool, 2.5 million gallon lagoon that was finally revealed after a 2-year effort to bring them to the resort, after opposition from animal rights protesters. Wynn spent millions of dollars fighting and finding a way to display the dolphins at the resort. To get approved, they insisted it was an educational experience that didn't cost money and they wouldn't be swam with. They would also bus in school children to see the exhibit and to learn. He insisted that the Mirage would never allow wild-caught dolphins to be displayed, only those that were in capture and needed a home. He didn't mention anything though about breeding them, which they did. It worked though, and permission was granted. By 1994, more than 1 million people had visited the resort's dolphins, and dolphins became the symbol of the Mirage. The exhibit will be home for the dolphins from 1990 until 2022. 3 generations of dolphins called it home, and it did never display wild-caught dolphins. While originally free, a few months after opening, the resort began charging $5 to see them, with students admitted free. The resort was unable to fire fireworks for its boxing matches if the wind was blowing the way of the dolphins. Eventually, they of course let people swim with them. Further opening day attractions were planned, including the Jackson attraction. Before opening, Michael Jackson had been hanging out at the resort in one of the private villas, and often seen with winning promotions. Jackson knew Siegfried and Roy, as they had designed some magic tricks for Jackson's stage tour, who had introduced him to Wynn. Announced in 1989 before the resort opened, the attraction would change over time. It was originally deemed as a 13,000 square foot entertainment experience with audio visuals and Michael Jackson memorabilia. Later, it would evolve into a mountain resembling Diamond Head Peak in Hawaii, and a water attraction that would be set behind the resort. Wynn said that he hoped that by including it, it would attract more kids to the resort. It would never happen, though Jackson would continue to stay at the resort even during his allegations later in the 90s. Over the decades, the Mirage has been a staple in movies, TV shows, and special events. Many areas of the resort were closed off for the filming of Vegas Vacation, and it was one of the casinos robbed in Ocean's 11. At opening, it was called Las Vegas' first 21st century resort. 4 years in the making, the motto for the new resort was where fantasy becomes reality. Much of what would be inside the Mirage was kept a secret until opening day, with media not allowed in and all photos had to be held. It was the idea encompassment of everything that Steve Wynn had learned after moving to Vegas, and this was only the start of his success. Everyone at the time believed the project would fail, not able to pay its debts, and would be out of business as soon as it opened. It did not, and was a huge success, easily making more than $1 million per day. The Mirage was not only a financial success, but it would change Las Vegas forever.
Mirage, of course, goes beyond that and creates an environment that's completely self-contained in terms of its statement and its theme. I think that's a good idea. I think it's more fun and exciting. It certainly is more of a fantasy world. I think that's good for Las Vegas, and we should see more of it. I suspect that we will.
It had been over 15 years since the last resort was constructed on the Strip, the MGM Grand in 1973. And this resort alone will create the biggest boom of construction in Vegas history. Within months of the Mirage being announced, other casinos announced their versions. The Excalibur from the operations of Circus Circus would be bigger. Pharaoh's Kingdom would eclipse that in size and include an 80-acre theme park, set to be the new largest hotel in the world. Sadly, this one never happened. The success of a new style of entertainment resort, though, would happen, and bigger and more elaborate casino resorts were created nearly yearly. The old was torn down, and the new shone. Junk bonds became a way for many places to fund projects, another thing that began with the Mirage. The core of the Mirage stayed the same over the years, but within a year, Wynn had borrowed $100 million more to expand it even further. Multiple major renovations and refurbishments would occur over the years. The new mega resorts that attempted to imitate it often surpassed it with more lavish spending than Las Vegas had ever seen. And the real start of family-friendly entertainment was beginning, that has become known as the Las Vegas of the 90s. The Mirage, though, didn't stay completely stuck in time. Changes did come. In 1996, the Secret Garden of Siegfried and Roy opened, showcasing different types of animals from the Magician's Show. Restaurants would often be updated or refreshed. The Siegfried and Roy show would perform at the hotel until 2003, when one of the performer's tigers would injure him during a performance. It drastically hurt the resort's performance, and the theater was removed and replaced with a new $100 million venue that would be home to a Cirque du Soleil show celebrating the Beatles. The first ever Vegas Cirque du Soleil show had been at the resort in a tent. This one would be a permanent show called Love that would become one of the most successful and beloved shows in Vegas history. After the Mirage's opening, tourism in Vegas increased 16%, one of the largest year-by-year increases in history of the city. In 2000, Wynn would be forced to sell Mirage Resorts to MGM Grand Inc., later renamed to MGM Mirage. Since opening the Mirage, he had built Treasure Island with its pirate stunt show and the Bellagio with its fountains, the now most expensive hotel in the world, that would go on again to inspire further Vegas resorts. Each of his resorts were more expensive than the last, featuring a free outdoor attraction to bring people in. As well as his resorts, Steve Wynn also helped create and advocate many guest experience improvements throughout the city, including pedestrian bridges and Fremont Street. Mirage Resorts had even opened in partnership with Circus Circus the Monte Carlo in 1996, where another entertainment show was becoming a big hit. Magician Lance Burton's show was even rivaling Siegfried and Roy in popularity. Come on, you knew I had to get it in it somewhere.
That was really stupid.
After the $6.6 billion forced sale to MGM, Wynn formed a new company and began quickly working on the Wynn Resort. He would remain the CEO of Wynn Resort until he would resign, stepping down from his role, along with his role as the financing chairman of the Republican National Committee.
Wynn said he has become the focus of an avalanche of negative publicity. The Wall Street Journal first reported the allegations last month. Vladimir Duthier of our streaming network CBSN is here. Vlad, good morning.
Good morning. One day after that Wall Street Journal report came out, Wynn announced he was stepping down as the RNC finance chair. The report detailed Wynn's alleged decades-long pattern of sexual misconduct as the head of the casino empire he built. From Wynn Resorts came a day after the Las Vegas Review-Journal admitted it held a story in 1998. Alleging Wynn pressured a server at one of his hotels into sex. Wynn allegedly told the woman it was because he wanted to experience sex with a grandmother.
His legacy, that had always been skirting the border between controversy, only a few of which I have covered here, and creative genius, and a person that so many looked up to in the Vegas community, was about to experience his downfall.
It's quite a shift, given that he's considered like the founder of modern Las Vegas.
He took a very small casino, the Golden Nugget, and turned it into a behemoth, and that's what we have now with.
I'm still processing that line, wanting to have sex, experience sex with a grandmother. I don't even know what that means exactly.
Me neither.
While he has always denied the allegations and cut ties with the industry, settling with the Nevada Gaming Control Board, his legacy and trust from the people of Las Vegas would always remain tarnished, even though his name still hangs high on giant casinos on the Strip. Even 20 years after opening, the Mirage remained popular, with many people loving it after their many visits over the years. One of the most iconic, its Volcano, still remained a must-see attraction and was loved by those who spent time there. The Volcano was fully rebuilt in 2008 to make way for a $25 million upgrade and modernization, and this new version had been synced to music. Like most things in Las Vegas, however, nothing lasts forever. MGM Resort's CEO said that the Mirage had fallen pretty far down in the spectrum of how much capital they'd allocate to it in a given period of time in the future, so they took the decision to sell it. In December 2021, Hard Rock International agreed to purchase the Mirage from MGM Resorts for $1.075 billion. It was set to be rebranded and redesigned as Hard Rock Las Vegas. They plan to construct a giant guitar-shaped hotel tower on the property, replacing the Mirage's Volcano, in that exact spot that was chosen in front of the hotel to place it further back from the street. Petitions began right away to try and save the Volcano, yet failed. The Volcano was deemed art, entertainment, and something everyone visiting Vegas would want to walk past and see, and many did not want it to be destroyed for a giant glowing guitar hotel. The iconic Mirage that changed Las Vegas forever closed on July 15, 2024. The fish had all been moved out. Cirque du Soleil closed after over a decade and a half, and 3,000 people were laid off, 137 who had been there at the resort since opening day. Closing ceremonies included the Vegas mayor and Steve Wynn's wife, Elaine Wynn. She said that it was what we do in Las Vegas. we reinvest, we refresh, and we keep Las Vegas as one of the most exciting cities in the world. The ceremony ended with one final eruption of the volcano. Steve Wynn did not attend. Work on its replacement began right away. One of the first tasks was to demolish the volcano. Now, it is completely gone. The resort's signage and statues were donated to the Las Vegas Neon Museum. Hard Rock Las Vegas is set to open in 2027. Very little will remain of the original Mirage, including its atrium.
Does that mean that Las Vegas is becoming family-oriented? It's going to be a Disneyland-type resort?
I think it's always been a fantasy resort. It's always been a theme place. And it always has had, in order to be successful, to tap the same kinds of energy that Disney did, which is to take people into the world of imagination for fun and fantasy. Disney does it for children of all ages. Las Vegas is concentrated on the adult population. But the message was similar, and the mission that the hotels tried to accomplish was the same. We are broadening our appeal, I hope, here and in other places in Las Vegas. And we're saying in our facilities, not so much that we want to make a kiddie park out of a casino hotel. What we are saying, though, is that if a family wants to go on vacation and experience a resort, that they can come to Las Vegas and come to the Mirage because it has something for everybody. And that the needs of the entire family have been taken into consideration in the planning and the operation of the place. Which means that, you can have tigers and kids don't have to go through the casino to get to see tigers. And we've got entertainments for young people as well as adults. I like that idea. I think that's good business.
In 1989, the Mirage had changed the image Las Vegas projected to the rest of the world. Without it, who knows if any of the mega resorts, family entertainment, or even theme parks would have happened throughout the next decade. Over the decades, it became a place that wasn't too expensive, yet had that more luxury feel still, making everyone feel like Lucky Nick Papagiorgio. The Mirage wasn't the first to do family-friendly in Vegas. That could go to either Caesars or Circus. But this was a whole new level. The Mirage reinvigorated Las Vegas tourism, and everything that followed was made possible because of it. Steve Wynn wanted to make a fantasyland for adults and children, and with one resort he had done that. His Mirage would change the whole strip, and more family-friendly attractions would follow. His legacy will be tarnished forever. The Mirage demonstrated the viability of large-scale entertainment resorts, leading to all of the iconic locations we know today. After 35 years, the Mirage is no more. You could say it was all a mirage. No, maybe not. Its impact on the city of Las Vegas can never be forgotten, changing the city from a neon-lit, seedy gambling town into an entertainment capital that still continues today. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Expedition Extinct. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe to join the expedition. Follow us on social media for updates on upcoming episodes, and a special thank you to our Patreons for supporting the channel. We will see you next time.